What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, I've told you before and I'm telling you again, we're committed to having cool Fords on the channel, and we just picked up, I don't even know what it's definitely a cool Ford, but it's something totally different that we've never had on the channel. So let's go. All right, guys, so all through the 80s and 90s, Ford did some cool stuff. Unfortunately, they don't do quite as many anymore, but there's a lot of these cars that people have forgotten about. We did the Marauder, you know, all the alternative Fox bodies, but this one is definitely cool. And I'm not exactly sure what all we're gonna do to it. Got to fix a lot of stuff. It's been sitting a long time, but anyway, let's check it out. Alright guys, so let's talk about a cool old freaking Ford. Guys, what you're looking at is a 1990 Thunderbird, it's gone, SC Super Coupe. Man, so let me just go ahead and tell you, she's been sitting a long time. I mean a long time, but this thing is super cool. We've got it, I'll go ahead and tell you on front end, we got to do quite a bit of work to it. But it's actually already had a bunch of work done to it. From what we know, it's got a set of long tube headers on it, full exhaust, fresh bottom end, I think a spec clutch, and some other stuff. But let's get into what is a Thunderbird Super Coupe. So for 1989, the Thunderbird went through a complete model revision, and it left the Fox chassis, which from 83 to 88, the Thunderbird was on a Fox chassis. But the MN12 came in 1989, and that was the new Thunderbird. That body style ran all the way till 1997 when Ford gave it the axe. But the Thunderbird Turbo Coupe was like the premier, or excuse me, Super Coupe was the premier model of the Bird in those years. Let's check it out some more. So starting under the hood, if you're not familiar with these things, this is the 3.8 liter V6 with the Eaton supercharger, essentially very similar, if not identical, to the ones on the Lightnings and the Terminator, stuff like that. So somewhat peppy, I mean, not bad. But what it did do is lend itself well to modifications like pulleys and, you know, stuff like that to give it a little extra power, because basically anything supercharged going to be fairly simple to pick up decent horsepower. This one, we're not real sure. It will crank. What we were told was the entire engine was redone and the heads need to be retorqued from that, but it's a pretty elaborate system if you're not familiar with it. So essentially you got your throttle body over here, then it goes all the way down the charge pipes to the bottom of your intercooler, which is right here, and then back out and down into your supercharger and thus the engine. So it's a pretty odd setup. Another pretty freaking odd thing about it is the supercharger, while you would think, oh, it's just driven off the crank or something like that, it's actually driven off this. And I'm still learning exactly how that works too. And I know it's dark, it's hard to see, but it runs off what looks like a smog pump off a Fox body, then over to an idler, and then over to the crank. So it's pretty wild. I mean, this thing has, if I'm not mistaken, 3 different serpentine belts on it. 1, 2... No, at least 2. But yeah, it's a pretty wild setup. This to me, and I could be wrong, looks like a SN95, 9495 5-liter Mustang throttle body. It's very, very, very similar in design. But these cars had all kinds of cool stuff, and a lot of it was in the interior. So the inside of these things was really plush. They had really good seats in them. I wonder why they put seats this good in the Thunderbirds, but the Mustang couldn't get them. But they were full power. You can see this one's seen better days. They were available manual or 5-speed, but some of the cool stuff that they came with: climate control, obviously something you couldn't get in a Mustang, power antenna, then you had your automatic ride control, auto, firm, had your fog lamp switches there. I mean, just all kinds of cool features. And they did have the premium JBL sound system, which was not available in the Mustang, but you could get them in like the Taurus SHO, stuff like that. But just lots of just cool stuff. You've got a boost gauge on the cluster, which is nice. Tack, of course. Pretty awesome. And then what was sitting here was your oil change reminder light, and then I can't remember something else. I'll throw a picture up. But yeah, that one's missing from the dash. But the interior of these is really neat. It's really roomy. This one has the power moonroof. So this one is essentially fully loaded, and being a stick shift car. So exterior wise, the way you could tell if it was a Super Coupe, other than it saying Thunderbird SC on the rear bumper, is they had the ground effects down at the bottom, much like, you know, the Mustang GTs and all that. They had the unique wheels. Front bumper cover was slightly revised as well. Look right down there, had the fog lights and all that. So not a lot of just crazy, you know, look at me stuff, but just some nice subtle things that say, hey, this thing is a little more special, just not your average 3.8 V6 Thunderbird. All right guys, so like I said, it will run not very well. Uh-oh. Yeah. You hear the supercharger? Yeah. Anyway, it's we gotta do, ooh, smoky smoke. We got to do quite a bit of work to it. All of the charge pipes are loose, so we've got to do that. Again, we just picked it up, so we haven't really gotten started on it, but lots of cool stuff coming for this thing. As far as, I think we're just gonna try to fix whatever little stuff it needs, get it back on the road, get it out and drive it, because I'm very interested to see how this thing feels, because I haven't drove one of these in probably 20 years plus, if not more. So there you go guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, Thunderbird Super Coupe, super cool car. You don't see them anymore. Even the V6 cars and the V8 cars you don't hardly see anymore, let alone a Super Coupe. So I'm super pumped to get this thing, get it in the shop, do a little work on it. It's a little rough, yeah, but still, you don't see many of them. And this has got a ton of work done under the hood, mechanically and performance wise, so it ought to run really good. It won't take much. We've got to do a little tweaking under the hood, get everything tightened back up, and should be rocking and rolling. All right guys, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed this one on the Thunderbird Super Coupe. Keep it tuned right here, because we're gonna have lots more on this car, and just fun. We've never messed with one of these cars, and I know it's not something crazy obscure, but it is, you know, something you don't see anymore. And so we're going to try to get this thing running, get it right, fix, you know, whatever little stuff it needs. Unfortunately, they don't make anything for these. I don't know if you can even buy taillight or headlight assemblies or not. Who knows? But we're going to do our best with it and see what happens. So make sure you're subscribed. Check out that premium subscription. I promise you'll love it. We'll catch you on the next one.